Santiago del Carmen Maria, the queen of crowning thoughts. I speak truth unapologetically. It's my
$2,000 tariff dividend checks. Millions of Americans left hanging as Supreme Court delays decision. Trump's reckless promises crumble under scrutiny. The promise was bold, flashy, and utterly deceptive. A $2,000 tariff dividend check. For every American family, funded by slapping massive tariffs on imports from China, Mexico, and beyond. Donald Trump sold it as a genius move to make America rich again, claiming it would punish foreign exploiters while putting cash straight into your pocket. But here we are in early 2026, and that check, it's nowhere in sight. Instead, millions of struggling families are trapped in limbo, waiting for the Supreme Court to decide if this half-baked scheme is even constitutional. Prices are skyrocketing, jobs are vanishing, and the economy is teetering on the edge, all because Trump destroyed America and Americans with his chaotic, self-serving policies that prioritize bluster over reality. This isn't leadership. It's a con job that's leaving hardworking people broke, hopeless, and furious. Let's rewind to how this disaster unfolded. During his 2024 campaign, Trump hyped tariffs as the ultimate weapon against unfair trade, proposing rates as high as 60% on Chinese goods, 100% on Mexican imports if they didn't bend to his immigration demands, and blanket 10 to 20% duties on everything else. He dangled the tariff dividend. Like a carrot, $2,000 per household, drawn from the billions in revenue these taxes would supposedly generate. "It's going to be beautiful," he crowed at rallies, painting a picture of American families cashing in while foreign nations footed the bill. But economists warned from day one. Tariffs aren't paid by foreigners, they're passed on to U.S. consumers and businesses. Prices rise, exports suffer retaliation, and the whole economy takes a hit. Trump ignored the experts, rammed through executive orders in late 2025, and now we're paying the price. Literally, fast forward to January 11, 2026, and the fallout is brutal. The tariffs have already driven up costs for everything from electronics and clothing to cars and groceries. The average family is shelling out an extra $1,300, $2,600 annually just on imported goods, according to analyses from the Peterson Institute for International Economics and the Tax Policy Center. That's money vanishing from wallets that could have gone to bills, food, or savings. Businesses are reeling too. Manufacturers like General Motors and Ford are slashing jobs and closing plants because imported parts now cost a fortune, accelerating layoffs in states like Michigan and Ohio. Retailers are passing on the hikes, with everyday items like toys, appliances, and furniture jumping 10 to 25%, and exports, crushed by retaliatory tariffs from trading partners, costing farmers and exporters billions. Soybean and pork sales to China are down 40%, hammering rural America, the very heartland Trump claimed to champion, but the dividend check farce is the real kicker. Trump's administration pushed for these payments through the American Prosperity Act of 2025, a bloated bill that repurposed tariff revenue for direct payouts. It sounded great on paper, $2,000 per eligible household, starting in early 2026 to offset the pain. Eligibility was vague, tied to income thresholds, citizenship status, and some nebulous patriot points. System that reeked of favoritism. The Treasury Department even set up a portal for applications, flooding it with millions of hopeful submissions. But legal challenges exploded immediately. Advocacy groups, states like California and New York, and even some red state attorneys general sued, arguing the plan violated the Constitution's appropriations clause. Congress, not the president, controls the purse strings. They called it an unconstitutional slush fund, potentially discriminatory, and a blatant vote-buying scheme. Now, all eyes are on the Supreme Court, which agreed to fast-track the case in December 2025 after lower courts issued conflicting rulings. Oral arguments wrapped up last week, but a decision could drag into February or March, or longer if the conservative majority, still stacked from Trump's first term, drags its feet. Justices grilled administration lawyers on everything from fiscal authority to equal protection concerns, with liberal voices like Sotomayor and Kagan blasting it as executive overreach on steroids. Meanwhile, Chief Justice Roberts seemed wary of the precedent, hinting at a narrow ruling that could gut the program without killing tariffs entirely. Millions wait in agony, families counting on that $2,000 to cover rent, medical bills, or holiday debts now face uncertainty, with no backup plan from the White House. This delay isn't just inconvenient, it's devastating, with mass layoffs surging over 1.2 million announced in 2025 alone, and costs of living at breaking points. People can't afford to wait. Food prices are up another 2.6%, utilities surging 8 to 12%, and rents climbing relentlessly. Trump's tariffs are the accelerant, inflating everything while delivering zero relief. Remember his first term? Similar trade wars cost 300,000 jobs and billions in farm bailouts, paid for by taxpayers, not China. Now it's worse. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce estimates these new tariffs could shave 0.5 to 1% off GDP growth, pushing us toward recession. Small businesses are folding, unable to absorb the hits, while megacorporations like Walmart pass costs on and pocket the difference. Trump destroyed America and Americans with this mess. His policies aren't America first, they are Trump first, designed for headlines and rallies, not real lives. He gutted worker protections, exploded the deficit with tax cuts for the rich, and now this. A tariff tantrum that's enriching his cronies in protected industries while crushing everyone else. The dividend was always a mirage, a distraction from the pain he's inflicting. Families are living in cars, seniors facing homelessness, workers quitting abusive jobs because they can't afford to commute. And where's the accountability? Trump's truth social rants blame radical left judges and deep state. Sabotage, but the truth is glaring. His incompetence and ego are the real culprits. We can't let this stand. Demand the Supreme Court act swiftly and strike down this unconstitutional giveaway. Push for real relief, targeted aid without the tariff poison, trade deals that protect workers, and policies that rebuild from the bottom up. Boycott companies gouging under the tariff umbrella, support unions fighting layoffs, and vote out the enablers who let this happen. Trump's legacy is destruction, economic ruin, divided communities, and broken promises. It's time to rebuild without him. Millions can't pay their bills. Now their wages are being garnished in a ruthless crackdown as January 11, 2026 rolls on. Millions of Americans are staring at paychecks that are suddenly shrinking before they even hit their bank accounts. The Trump administration's aggressive push to resume collections on defaulted federal student loans has kicked into high gear, with wage garnishment notices flooding out starting this week. This isn't a gentle nudge to repay. It's a brutal, automatic deduction of up to 15% of disposable income, straight from your paycheck without needing a court order. For families already crushed by skyrocketing costs, stagnant wages, and mass layoffs, this is the final kick while they're down. The government is seizing earnings from the most vulnerable borrowers, turning a broken system into a weapon against people who can't afford to fight back. The scale is staggering and unforgiving. More than 5.3 million federal student loan borrowers are already in default, meaning they haven't made a payment in at least 270 days, and the Department of Education is ramping up fast. Notices began going out the week of January 7 to about 1,000 borrowers who are severely delinquent, with the number expected to explode monthly throughout 2026. Experts warn that an additional 4 to 6 million could slide into default soon, potentially affecting up to 25% of all student loan holders. That's millions of working people, teachers, nurses, parents, veterans, facing the loss of 15% of their take-home pay every single paycheck until the debt is cleared or they escape default through limited options. This crackdown comes after years of pandemic-era pauses that shielded borrowers from harsh collections. The relief ended in late 2024, and by May 2025, the administration restarted other tools like seizing tax refunds and offsetting Social Security benefits. Now, wage garnishment, the most painful step, has arrived right as healthcare premiums spike, utilities surge, and the cost of living keeps climbing. Advocacy groups like Protect Borrowers and the Student Borrower Protection Center are calling it outright cruel. This administration is using its limited resources to seize wages instead of defending borrowers' right to affordable payments. They point out the timing couldn't be worse, coinciding with rising ACA premiums and a job market that's freezing up with layoffs. The human cost is devastating. Imagine a single parent working 2 jobs to cover rent and groceries, only to see 15% of their hard-earned check vanish to pay off loans from a degree that never delivered the promised career. Or a senior on fixed income watching retirement savings evaporate while Social Security gets hit. These aren't deadbeats dodging responsibility. Many defaulted because payments resumed amid inflation, stagnant wages, and fewer affordable repayment options. The administration's changes, like capping borrowing limits, eliminating certain income-driven plans, and ending programs like SAVE, have made it harder for people to stay current, pushing more into default. Yet instead of expanding relief, they're turning up the enforcement volume. Federal law allows this garnishment without court involvement, as long as borrowers get at least 30 days' notice to respond or request a hearing. But for many, that notice arrives too late, or they don't know how to fight it. Options to stop or reduce garnishment exist: rehabilitation, making 9 on-time payments, consolidation into a new plan, or proving hardship. But the process is bureaucratic, slow, and often inaccessible without help. Advocates warn that the system is overwhelmed, with backlogs in applications and denials piling up. Meanwhile, the garnishment keeps rolling, deepening poverty cycles. Less take-home pay means more missed bills, higher credit card debt, and even more financial stress. This is the ugly face of policy that punishes the struggling while ignoring root causes. Student debt tops $1.6 trillion, burdening 42 million Americans, 1 in 8 people. Many borrowed for education that was supposed to be the ticket out of poverty, only to face a job market that doesn't deliver. The Trump administration promised accountability but delivered a hammer. No broad forgiveness blocked by courts, fewer flexible plans, and now forced collections that hit low-income households hardest. It's a transfer of wealth upward, taking from workers to feed a system that profits off interest and penalties. Borrowers aren't powerless, though. If you get a notice, act immediately. Contact your loan servicer, explore rehabilitation or consolidation through student aid. Request a hardship hearing, or seek free help from groups like the Student Borrower Protection Center. Don't ignore it. Garnishment can continue indefinitely until the debt is resolved. Push back politically too. Demand real reforms like restoring income-driven plans, expanding forgiveness, and capping collections that trap people in poverty. The system is rigged against regular folks. Time to fight for change before more paychecks disappear. Follow so we can stay connected. Your support matters more than you know, and I appreciate every moment you give to listen. Your support is important to me, and it helps me a lot. It keeps me active, bringing you important information with your support and comments, likes and shares. Feel free to like, support, and subscribe. I will always provide content for you. I appreciate every support you give. Crowning Thoughts, True Speaker, copyright 2025 by Santiago D.C. Maria, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution. I love you all and I appreciate each of you. Stay blessed. Thank you for listening. Love always. Santiago D.C. Maria.